says, those who can do and those who can't teach. Ken Smith says one of the challenges he continues to work on is more effective use of his gestures and body language. Therefore, following Mark Twain's admonishment, it is fitting that Ken deliver this educational presentation on body language. Please help me welcome Ken Smith with Show What You Mean to Say. Show What You Mean to Say, Ken Smith.
Thank you very much. That was a very appropriate introduction. Thank you. A study at UCLA said that about 93% of all of our communication is body language. Now, I've heard other figures, but I think all of the figures I've seen say that at least 50% or more is our body language. And there are a number of specific things that
You know what? I'll just move.
Thank you. You know, we used to remove those end chairs, partly for that reason.
Yeah.
But people kept grabbing them and putting them back. So it was at the very end. More than 50%, maybe as much as 90% of what we communicate is actually communicated non-verbally. It includes our facial expressions, our eye contact, gestures, and in fact our whole body movement. So let's go into each one of these and see how we can improve our communication with each one. Starting with facial expression. Now this is the key to whether or not people believe what we're saying, find us sincere, etc. If our facial expression is in contradiction to our words, the facial expression is what will be believed, not the words. So if you're telling a sad story and smiling, it's not very effective. You need to make sure your face matches what you're saying. Here are, take one, pass around please. Some facial expressions you may look at as we speak and see what each one is supposed to say about the message we're trying to give. Eye contact is probably one of the most important ones. I noticed Ed in his speech was giving excellent eye contact. What you want to do is look at someone in the eyes as you complete a thought, and then move to someone else and complete that thought while looking at them, and then another. And you might want to grab somebody on the left side of the room first, and then the center, and then the right. Doesn't really make any difference what order. But even if you're not the one that somebody specifically looks at, if you see someone looking directly at people, multiple people, you get the sense that that person is talking to the whole audience. And that's the impression you want to give, that you really are trying to communicate. Now in some cultures that doesn't work too well. Some cultures, eye contact can be a challenge to the person you're talking to. So many of the gestures, body language, and facial features and so on are cultural. And in our culture, that's what I'll be talking about mostly, our culture. But we'll get to some other examples too as we go along. Gestures are something that we tend to use very frequently. And there are three types of gestures. We have the conventional. Now these might include stop. Most people know what that is. Thumb up, thumb down. How about sideways? We're starting to lose that one. People don't tend to hitchhike as much anymore. Time out is pretty common in our culture. come to me. Now, one that most of us recognize, meaning okay, is one you want to be careful of if you're in Greece or Turkey, for example. It is the equivalent of up yours. So if you're going to talk to people while traveling, you might want to get familiar with their culture before you communicate with them. You might be in a bazaar in Turkey, for example, and you're haggling over the price. And you come to the right price, you go like that, and that's an insult. You're saying up yours, you're a homosexual, something like that to them. And they don't take too kindly, they don't think a sale has been made when you do that. So we have to be careful. Descriptive gestures are another thing. You've heard the joke of the fisherman who caught a fish and was asked by a buddy how big it was, and he said, "It was this big." Well, we use our hands a lot to give descriptive things. So tall, the whole world, things of this nature. So we want to use those because they match what we're trying to say at the moment. And then we have emotional. So if I just shrug my shoulders, you know what that means. I don't know or I don't care. Of course, you know the difference between I don't know and I don't care. That's apathy. That's ignorance and apathy. I don't know. Then we move on to whole body movement. Whole body includes a lot of things. It includes stance, how you stand. You want to be comfortable. Usually your feet apart, toes pointed part way out, but you don't want to stand still the whole time you're delivering a message. If you want to emphasize a point, step forward. And then when you step back, you're giving an indication that you're just going on with your speech. But you can change subjects by stepping to the sides as well. So moving around is as much part of your message as standing. You want to be relaxed and balanced. And you do want to move around because it's part of varying your speech. Motion catches the eyes. People see you move, they continue to pay attention. If you're just standing still, they don't have to watch because you're not doing anything. So part of your message is in moving around. One of the things you really need to do is learn how to practice your gestures, your body movement, your eye contact, everything. There are a number of ways of doing that. You can do it in a mirror, of course, and you should. When you're giving your speech, you want to see how you look to your audience. One of the things that we offer is an ability to watch the speeches you've given because we record them on video, so you can go to YouTube. Keep your list, or go to our website, and there in the files there's a spreadsheet that shows you all of the past speeches you've done. And because it's a spreadsheet, it's sortable. You don't have to scan through all the months and years. You can just sort it by your name, and look at how you used your body as you gave your speeches. You can also practice in front of family and friends. We're all friends here. This is a place for practice. This is our laboratory. Toastmasters is where it's okay to try new things, to make your mistakes, and learn from them. You want to do that here instead of out in the real world. So consider us all family and friends. Whenever you have a speech to make out in the real world, make it here first. We saw a couple of examples of that last week. And finally, Konstantin Stanislavski, who developed the method for acting, says, the language of the body is the key that can unlock the soul. So let's all practice our body language. I would like to invite you, because we have a couple of minutes left here, to get together and use some of those facial expressions with each other. Go ahead and make faces at each other. And one person makes the face, the other one interprets. What is it? What is that face?
Which one is it?
Who wants to go first?
Okay.
All first.
All right.
I guess we can three of us do it, or?
Serious,
Go ahead.
Who does this when they talk? Who does this when they talk?
Who does this when they talk?
Lower them.
Bill O'Reilly.
Outside of him. President Obama.
Sorry.
Obama does it all the time.
I
And
haven't
you get
noticed
so,
that.
you get to the point where you don't hide. You don't want, you get to the point where you don't even want to look at him anymore. But then
Elated.
as non-political.
Not sure I can go beyond tired this morning, but.
Is that,
Okay,
What was that?
I think Canada did a great job with this.
Dr. Crowley, the
It's
truth.
amazing what you can do with computers. And, to be able to do things. A lot of people, not a lot of people sometimes say that you have a sweet face, you do not express any expression. And so I've always tried to do that.
Wanna try some?
You know me real
That's
well.
sniff?
And I'm always emotional because that's my background, you know. So,
No, you.
you look like
Yeah.
you're pretty, you look like you'd be
And then,
smiling most of the time if you're going through.
What did I do?
Even though you're going through a really difficult time in your life. Okay, see what he's doing? Okay, continue right along.
Let's see, this is
Your wife makes you happy.
enough of that. Here's
Or
the-
confused. She's usually. I know Jim is always saying I'm very, I confuse him totally. And I'm saying the most simple statement in the world, and he doesn't know what I said.
All right.
So,
complacent?
Do they have
Gary's
confused?
kind of stone-faced in a way.
I don't.
You're very
They
mild.
express a lot facially.
How about
Well,
this?
you don't know that you are. You don't know that you are. And when you are, it's just, let's say that you're angry with something. If you have a son or a daughter and they leave their bike out in your driveway and somebody runs over it, you do. You run over it. Okay, you have two things there. Your son leaves his bicycle in the driveway,
I guess this one
and
is
then
you.
you're the one who runs over it. So first of all, how do you feel when? Excellent. He's doing great. I'm making up a story here.
A story and faces. Well,
Is that
it's
it?
your turn. You've been directing us
Is
over
that
here.
it?
Now
You
you
have
have to
I
make a
always do that,
face.
don't I?
Still the green
Oh,
light,
sure.
so.
Yeah.
I'm not being
Okay, somebody give me a story.
Okay.
Distracted.
You
It's just, yeah.
are really
But
pissed
when I
off
see the
about
red,
something.
I'll call it off.
I don't think
I
it's
very
set.
rarely
Is
am.
it set?
Okay. All right.
Anymore, I used to be.
All right.
Close the door and go to bed.
I don't think it's
How about
set.
flirting?
That's way beyond me.
I
I
think-
mean, so I don't even think about that anymore.
Okay. How about
10.
annoyed?
So the red-
Um,
So not
it-
pissed, but annoyed.
I could
Is
give
it
you an
reset?
example
Roll
if I
15,
think
the
it's
red
basic.
will come on.
It's like I'm teaching a class at school,
Uh-huh.
and kids aren't paying
John?
attention to me.
How are we doing on time?
I'm sorry. We have just passed the mark into yellow. So
Okay, let's go ahead and wrap it up.
Okay, what about Carrie? Let's do Carrie.
Time's up.
Aw,
All right, so, once again,
you lucked out.
the language of the body is the key that can unlock the soul. Remember that, and use it in your speeches.
Okay, so if that's true,
Madam Toastmaster.